Two cars can make a household feel more adult, more flexible, and more successful. Ryan and Daniel are both 34. Same metro area, same household income, same savings, same life stage where calendars start filling with work, family errands, childcare gym plans, weekend trips, and the small chaos of normal American adulthood. Ryan and his partner keep two cars. One for him, one for the household. It feels obvious. It means no coordinating, no waiting, no awkward ride requests, no spreadsheet conversation before someone goes to Target. Daniel and his partner keep one reliable car. They use a mix of planning rideshare transit and the most underrated financial tool in America, asking, do we actually need to drive separately today? At first, Ryan looks freer. Daniel looks like he is optimizing too hard. But this is the real math. A second car is not one extra payment. It is a second copy of almost every ownership cost, depreciation, insurance registration, maintenance tires, parking fuel or charging repairs, financing pressure, and the opportunity cost of the cash that disappears quietly every month. This video is not saying every household should own one car. In a lot of the United States, two cars are not a luxury. They are how two adults keep jobs, handle school pickup, reach medical appointments, and function in places built around driving. The question is narrower and more useful if the second car is mostly convenience. What does it really cost over 10 or 20 years? Let's keep this fair. For illustration, assume Ryan and Daniel each earn $115,000 as a household before tax. They each have an emergency fund, no credit card debt, and enough room in the budget to make either choice work. Ryan's second car is a normal modern vehicle, not a luxury flex. Assume the all-in cost of that extra vehicle averages about $650 a month once you count depreciation, insurance, maintenance, registration, fuel, and occasional repairs. Some households will be lower, some will be much higher. The point is not the exact number. The point is the recurring drain. Daniel does not magically spend zero. His one-car household uses alternatives. Assume he spends $175 a month on rideshare, rental days, delivery fees, and extra convenience costs. That leaves a monthly difference of $475. If Daniel invests that $475 a month for 20 years in a broad portfolio, at a hypothetical 7% annual return before taxes and fees, the future value is roughly $249,000. If the return is lower, the number shrinks. If the household keeps the car longer and costs stay lower, the gap changes. But the shape of the math is clear. A second car can quietly become a $250,000 lifestyle decision. Year 1. Ryan wins the first year emotionally. His mornings are smoother. Nobody negotiates who gets the car. When one person has a late meeting and the other needs groceries, there is no tension. Convenience is real. It has value. But the first hidden cost shows up immediately: insurance. A second vehicle usually means another policy exposure, another premium, and another renewal date where the household gets reminded that insurance is not a fixed background expense. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks motor vehicle insurance inside the Consumer Price Index, and its April 2026 release still showed motor vehicle insurance rising month to month. AAA's 2025. Your driving costs study also lists full coverage insurance as a meaningful annual ownership line across vehicle types. That matters because a second car doubles the objects the household must insure even before discussing driver's location claims history, deductibles, coverage limits, and state rules. Ryan does not feel that as a dramatic mistake. He feels it as adult life. A few $100s here, a renewal notice there, a tire rotation, a registration fee, gas on the way home. Daniel's first year is less smooth. He has to plan. Sometimes he takes a rideshare and feels mildly annoyed paying for a trip Ryan would call free. But Ryan's trip was not free. It was prepaid through ownership. That is the psychological trick. Rideshare feels expensive because the charge is visible. The second car feels normal because the cost is scattered across payments, insurance, depreciation, and maintenance. By the end of year 1, Ryan has more convenience. Daniel has more cash flow and more awareness. Year 3. This is when the second car starts feeling like infrastructure. The household schedules around it, the garage fills around it, the budget absorbs it. Everyone forgets there was ever another option. Then the maintenance cycle begins. Brakes, tires, battery, oil changes, alignment, inspection, a mysterious dashboard light that appears at the worst possible time. One-car household or two-car household repairs happen. The difference is probability. Two vehicles create more chances for a bad month. Ryan's second car needs tires in the same month property taxes are due. The bill is not catastrophic. That is why nobody changes behavior. But the planned brokerage contribution gets skipped. The Roth IRA contribution gets postponed. The vacation fund gets borrowed from and never fully rebuilt. But here is where we must apply practical friction to Daniel. One Friday, the single car is at the mechanic. Daniel's partner is at work, and Daniel suddenly needs to pick up his child from school. He orders a rideshare, but there are no drivers available for 20 minutes. It is pouring rain. The surge pricing triples the cost. He finally arrives late, stressed and frustrated. In moments like that, the savings spreadsheet feels worthless. Daniel wonders if the stress of managing logistics is slowly eating away the financial benefit he thought he was securing. The annual math still favors him because occasional inconvenience is not the same as permanent ownership, but that inconvenience takes a real emotional toll. The savings are paid for with his time, his patience, and occasionally his sanity. The key question is not can you afford the second car? The better question is what useful thing stops happening because the second car is always being afforded. By year 3, Ryan is not broke. He is just slightly less liquid than he thinks. Daniel is not effortless. He is just fighting a different kind of friction. Year 5. This is where depreciation becomes visible. The second car that felt new is now ordinary. It has scratches miles, and a trade-in value lower than the number Ryan remembers from the day he bought it. AA's ownership cost framework separates depreciation from operating costs for a reason. Depreciation is not a bill in the mailbox, but it is still money leaving the household balance sheet. Ryan can say the car is paid down, so we are fine. But if the vehicle lost thousands of dollars in value while also consuming insurance, fuel maintenance and fees, the cost was never only the payment. Daniel's alternative costs are not invisible either. Rideshare gets more expensive. Car rental rates vary. Public transit may be inconvenient or unavailable. Delivery fees add up. In a car-dependent suburb, one car can create real stress. If I only showed Ryan's downside, I would be doing the same thing shallow money advice does. The second car can buy time, safety, childcare, reliability, job access, and marital peace. Those benefits can be worth more than the spreadsheet gap, but the second car should have to defend itself honestly, not as a default, as a tool with a price. By year 5, Ryan may have spent roughly $39,000 on the extra car at $650 a month. Daniel may have spent about $10,500 on alternatives at $175 a month. The difference before any investment growth is about $28,000 to $500. That gap is not theoretical. It is the emergency fund that stays full, the student loan that disappears faster, the down payment that becomes reachable, the career break that becomes less scary. Let us make this math even more specific. Assume Daniel and his partner took that $28,500 gap at year 5 and applied it to a 529 college savings plan for their young child. If that money sits there and grows for another 13 years until the child turns 18, assuming a moderate return, it could completely cover a state university tuition. Ryan and his partner are not bad with money. They make a good income. But because they carry higher fixed costs, they now have to fund that 529 plan from their remaining monthly cash flow. That means they have to allocate a larger portion of their future paychecks to achieve the exact same financial outcome that Daniel achieved by sharing a vehicle. This single decision continues to ripple through their financial planning every single month. Every extra dollar saved gives Daniel more leverage. Meanwhile, Ryan's household must maintain a higher level of income just to stay in the exact same place. Over time, this subtle difference in fixed costs creates a massive divergence in net worth, assuming everything else remains equal. Year 10. Now the decision becomes a lifestyle identity. Ryan's household does not ask whether 2 cars are needed, they ask what the next second car should be. Newer SUV, bigger payment, better safety. Features lower maintenance. Maybe an electric vehicle. Each option can be rational in isolation, but lifestyle choices tend to expand over time. Daniel's household has also changed. Maybe they moved closer to work. Maybe remote work reduced driving. Maybe one adult changed jobs and the one-car setup became easier. Or maybe the opposite happened and they finally needed a second car. That is allowed. The math changes when life changes. But if Daniel avoided the second car for 10 years, the monthly gap became powerful. At $475 invested monthly for 10 years at the same hypothetical 7% return, the account could grow to roughly $82,000 before taxes and fees. That is the part most people miss. The second car is not competing against nothing. It is competing against the alternative use of the same dollars. It might be competing against retirement accounts. It might be competing against childcare flexibility. It might be competing against moving to a better school district without panic. It might be competing against quitting a job that is quietly damaging the household. Ryan still has a legitimate argument. He bought time. He reduced coordination. In a household with 2 office commutes, children, poor transit, and unreliable schedules, one car can turn daily life into a logistics meeting nobody wants to attend. But Daniel has a legitimate argument too. He bought optionality. He chose fewer fixed costs in a decade when insurance repairs. And financing costs could move faster than salaries. By year 10, the winner is not obvious. That is what makes the decision interesting. Year 20. Now the invisible decision becomes visible. If Ryan kept the 2-car routine for 20 years, the household may have enjoyed thousands of easier mornings. That benefit is real. It may have protected careers, reduced stress, and made family logistics possible. But if the second car was mostly convenience, the cost is also real. 20 years of a $475 monthly net gap invested at a hypothetical 7% becomes roughly $249,000 before taxes and fees. That number is not a promise. It is a flashlight. It shows how a monthly lifestyle choice can become a major wealth variable when repeated for decades. And there is a second layer behavior. A household with lower fixed costs can survive a layoff differently. It can handle a medical bill differently. It can take a lower-paying job with better hours. It can move. It can wait. It can say no. A household with higher fixed costs may still be fine, but the budget needs both jobs. The raises need to arrive. The cars need to behave. The insurance renewal needs to be tolerable. The emergency fund needs to recover quickly after each hit. That is why the real question is not, is a second car bad? The real question is the second car buying optionality or consuming it? If it lets 2 adults earn income, keep children safe, reach essential places, and stay sane, maybe it is a high-value tool. If it mostly saves small moments of coordination or sits in the driveway while silently losing value, maybe the household is paying a heavy premium and calling it convenience. Here is the practical test. Before buying or keeping the second car, do not ask only, can we make the payment? Ask 5 better questions. First, what is the all-in monthly cost after depreciation? Insurance, maintenance, fuel, registration, parking, financing, and repairs. Second, what would we spend on alternatives if we did not own it? Third, what is the true monthly gap? Fourth, what would that gap do if invested, saved, or used to remove another pressure point? Fifth, what life problem does the second car solve? And is that problem worth the long-term cost? Some households will answer yes, confidently. And that is fine. But some households will discover they do not have a transportation need. They have a coordination challenge, a habit, or an expense they never fully priced. The hidden cost of 2 cars in your 30s is not just money. It is the way repeated fixed costs quietly narrow your options before you notice. Wealth is not only what you own. Sometimes wealth is the bill you never signed up for, the second payment you never made, and the monthly gap that stayed available long enough to become a future choice. So if you have 2 cars, do not feel guilty. Count them, and if one of them is mostly sitting there as an expensive backup plan, ask the question most dealerships will never ask you. What else could this car be buying?